So there's so much noise where I live, whether it's cars or trains, buses, bin lorries, people shouting at each other in the street. Noise is sound where I guess we'd personally prefer that it wasn't. At the worst end of the scale, it's dangerous, damaging, and can scar our hearing for life. At the other end, it's just mildly annoying. I've always found it's interesting that you can close your eyes if there's something that you don't want to see, but if there's something that is upsetting you and it's sound, well, you have to get a pair of these to be protected. Also, music's not special. Music can be noise too. If you've ever heard your neighbour's favourite playlist coming through the wall at 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll know what I mean. I used to live next door to a church organist who had some, let's say, strange tastes. Rory! Rory! Stop falling asleep to creepy organ music. There's no easy concrete definition for noise. The dividing line between noise and music is really personal and depends on the time and place that we're hearing the sound. Even the same person on different days might hear the same thing differently. Sometimes I'm up for industrial grindcore. Okay, I don't think today is one of those days. What a load of... Well, I don't want to say noise exactly for really any music that's not blasted through my wall at 4 o'clock in the morning, because doing that means you're just joining a tradition of moaning that really goes back for centuries. Most of the time it's just people who have missed some moving musical goalposts. Accounts of how music was treated in Soviet Russia during the 20th century kind of reveals that pattern. At first it was jazz that was seen as the main threat in music, being a symbol of decadent capitalism. As soon as early rock appeared, then jazz became okay, but rock was senseless noise made by long-haired hippies. They were the real danger then. After that, once heavy and punk rock came along, grudgingly the Beatles and even the Rolling Stones were accepted, and some of their records even started appearing in music shops. It's a pretty narrow view of music that it always has to sound nice or familiar or acceptable to us, and in any case, noise, whether wanted or unwanted, has always been a part of musical performance. John Cage's music really draws attention to this. His famous piece 4 minutes and 33 seconds isn't really about silence like some people think, but it's about making us hyper aware of the sounds that are around us during the performance. When we've not got music to listen to, our ears become much more sensitive to tiny little things like the scratch of the seat next to us or somebody breathing in a certain way. The orchestra even has a built-in noise section, with the percussion instruments being used to represent guns, bombs, monsters, wind, all kinds of sounds and noises from the real world. In the 20th century, composers started to find noise from the outside world and noise that they'd recorded as another element of their musical toolkit, just like rhythm or pitches. Here's Frank Zappa playing a bicycle on national television in 1963. Perhaps the most interesting thing is how strange people find this. Playing one piece of metal, like a guitar string, totally fine. One that's part of a bicycle is weird and silly.
I congratulate you on your farsightedness. And as for your music, don't ever do it around here again.
Frank wasn't the only composer experimenting with noise in his music. He himself had been inspired by Edgar Varese, who used alarms, sirens, and other things he called found sounds in the music. These were sounds he'd recorded, scavenged, discovered in the real world. I mean, all sounds are found sounds, including those of pianos, violins, and voices. But when you take sounds that are more commonly associated with noise and put them into music, I think something interesting happens. For me at least, it makes the music much more connected to the real world. When you hear these noises in a piece of music, you can't imagine that the music has been delivered from the gods. Really, it's something that's obviously been made by humans, probably smashing stuff together. Noise in music reminds us that none of us can have the world on exactly our terms, especially how the world sounds. We can't expect to only hear sounds we like and not those we don't. Especially when exploring music, probably the more open we can be to all sounds, the richer our experience will be. Thinking this way makes me feel like I probably need to be a bit more tolerant of the noise that I find in day-to-day life, people shouting on the train or the bin lorry or the noise of people eating. So even when it is driving us up the wall, it's helpful to remember the potential in noise to help us express ideas, because coded into those sounds is everyday life, the sounds that we encounter as we go about our lives. And that's as important a thing to express in music as anything else.